Hello everyone, my name's comedian Jay Black. This is my partner, a guy who wears jeans when he plays homoerotic beach volleyball, Bill Ridgway. And this show is Nerdstalgia, where we take a look at movies, toys, games, TV shows, whatever, from our youth and see whether or not it holds up. And today's episode, Bill, Top Gun. This movie is if you sat down a 13-year-old and asked him, what do you think is cool and how do cool people act? And then they made a movie out of it, which is, I'll be a fighter pilot and I'll also play volleyball with my friends and I'll be all, ripped and
I'll have a motorcycle.
And I'll high five a lot. I guess in 1986, none of these things have been worn out just yet.
I think this was, I guess that was cool then.
Right, well, because at one point he says, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. And I'm like, is this the first time that was ever said in a movie? Tom Cruise is Maverick. What would your name be if you were a pilot? What's your call sign?
I have no idea.
Mine would be Butterscotch Tittywinkles. Mine would be Jen Ittlewarts, but it would be Jen dash Ittlewarts, and you'd have to call me Jen. Gnarly Pinky.
Right, something like that would be, who has the worst and best?
Oh, so best is Iceman.
Clearly, right?
Iceman, and we're going to get into this, but Iceman is clearly the hero of this movie. This is a movie.
He is so much more likable.
He's the best.
Than Maverick, and another level of
He flies right. No one in his orbit gets killed. He follows the rules. He's the best pilot there. He gives good advice to Maverick when he's like, "You're dangerous up there. You're a good pilot, but you're dangerous."
And he came and apologized to him when Goose was killed.
But in my mind,
Spoiler.
In the 80s, right? Yeah, it's spoiler in a 39-year-old or 33-year-old movie. In my mind in the 80s, it was like, oh, that Val Kilmer, get him, Maverick. But now I'm like, he should be ground. Maverick should not be flying. Iceman should be the guy in charge of Top Gun. Why do we care about Maverick?
And when did Val Kilmer, or Nerdstalgia, become the Val Kilmer fetish YouTube channel?
I'll tell you exactly when we saw him shirtless in Willow, and we said, this is the thing we're going to be talking about. They're Navy pilots. It starts with he's on a carrier in the Indian Ocean with the principal from Back to the Future is his boss.
Right.
And they're in a fight, right? And he goes inverted with the MiG, but the guy that he's with, whose name I forget, it wasn't Merlin. It was what was it? Dead Meat. I think it was Dead Meat. Cougar. Yes, a 42-year-old woman who's twice divorced.
It's a whole different term once you bring that up to date.
During that battle, he gets PTSD. And this is going to be a running theme in the movie, which is this movie is number one about about the Navy pilots, and number two about how in 1986 there was no concept of PTSD at all, and not one lick of sympathy for anybody.
Get back up there.
Yeah, immediately. So Cougar loses his mind, and they go, all right, Maverick, you were number two, so now you're going to get to go to Top Gun, even though you're a troublemaker. You're a Maverick. So he goes, and it turns out he's in class, and Jester, played by the guy from V, Michael Ironside. He's the teacher, and I love that guy. He was Donovan, I think, in V. He with the Teflon bullets, teaching him how to fight. Love that guy. He's like, we have civilian contractors who come in to teach the class, and here she is, astrophysicist Charlie, and we're like, uh-oh. Who could this be? Kelly McGillis, Charlie, astrophysicist, who proceeds to give a lesson, and then Top Gun Tom Cruise goes, well, no, I can do that with my plane, and she's like, impossible. And he's like, no, I have a Polaroid of it. It's actually the best part of the movie.
Right.
When Iceman goes, and then says the B word, the BS word, I can't say it because we don't want to get demonetized. And apparently that was an improv. That's why everybody laughed when he said it. And then something my wife pointed out, then Jester goes, all right, everybody get up in the air. That lesson was approximately 40 seconds from Charlie. Charlie came in, her lesson was, the plane can't do this. And then Tom Cruise goes, yes, it can. And then Jester's like, in the air. And actually, this is something about this movie and something that you see in a lot of 80s movies, and I kind of miss, where you could just do things that didn't make any sense, but you went with it because it was the movie.
Well, because the internet didn't exist.
Right.
To ruin everything.
We have to go like, well, wait a second.
Right.
Like, can you explain what's happening?
But they could have drugged that scene out a little bit longer
Right.
and maybe cut some of the jet porn down.
No, I wanted more jet point.
Literally 40 minutes of the movie is just engines firing and jets taking off. And
it wasn't very good. The stuff in the air did not cut together in a way that I could follow.
Well, like I said, when the San Diego Comic-Con came out for Top Gun Maverick,
Right.
I almost got like a little excited about it. I'm like, oh, this is like, you see all the the jets and stuff like that. I'm like, the scenes look better. So when I went back to revisit it, I was like, oh, that doesn't look like...
doesn't hold up. And there's a lot of like, you can see the influence of early MTV in this movie, in the sense that, like, I can see what the critics of the time were saying, that there's almost an impressionistic take on things. And that's what I meant with the whole fighter pilot thing, where you know that Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis are supposed to be together because they're like framed in a way that lets us know visually that they're supposed to be together. But the movie does no work to tell us that. Like, the movie does no work to give us like why Tom Cruise is special, what's good about him, why we should care about him, like all of this stuff that a movie needs to answer, it sort of glosses over with, look how pretty. And I think in '86, like, there wasn't a lot of war movies like that. Like, I mean, The Deer Hunter. Nobody was sitting watching The Deer Hunter going, "Wow, this really pumps me up, man." This is good.
Now they went dark.
The Top Gun School is, it's handled in that 1980s way of, we're just going to have voiceover tell you that Iceman's in the lead, Maverick is number 2, only 2 points behind. Don't know who he's saying this to.
Right.
Don't know if this is like. It reminds me of those camp movies where it cuts to the guy doing the announcements in the morning, or like Radar on MASH, just like giving you all the exposition that you need.
But what are 2 points? I don't know what the 2 points are.
They don't
like any of
explain
that.
any
Like
of that.
I didn't know the point system or.
Nope. I think it's you get 5 points if you down a plane, and then you get 3 points if your pecs look really nice while oiled up while playing beach volleyball. And that's the scene everybody talks about, is the beach volleyball scene, where it's just like 4 Navy pilot dudes. They're done a hard day of flying around, getting classes that are 40 seconds long and shooting at each other in random cutscenes. They should just go play beach volleyball.
Right, against 2 guys they dislike.
Right. Because we're so competitive.
Right.
We're going to just strip down. Tom Cruise is in his jeans. He's like, all right, well, obviously I can't play in my jeans, but I'll just take my shirt off and I'll play.
Poor Anthony Edwards still wears his shirt through the whole thing.
Anthony Edwards, I guess he got a trainer, but like a week before the movie started, and he's like, I can just cram all this in, right? And they're like, nah, Anthony Edwards.
Keep the shirt on, Anthony.
Yeah, they play volleyball for, I believe, the middle 30 minutes of the movie is one extended volleyball scene. Right. And then he goes over to Kelly McGillis.
Right. Second of all, he's late for a date that apparently he was ready to cut his left arm off for.
Right.
But now
now he's, because he's got his
just kinda
voice,
like,
he doesn't need to.
Just distracted.
But he shows up, and like, she's totally cool with this. It's like, man, that guy's awesome. And they eat salad. He said they cut to a weird scene where like they're done dinner and she's sitting on a couch and he's like leaning against the wall but not looking at her. And then he goes into a monologue about his dead dad
and his dead mom. Yeah.
And his dead mom, and I'm like, I think Maverick has done this before. They bring in Meg Ryan in her first movie. Yeah. And Mike just jumping off the screen, just like the cutest little. Now I sound gross. Yeah. She's so cute and young. She's so innocent, but like, her like take me to bed or lose me forever. Oh, yeah. Like, that's who we all fell in love with. Like, I literally fell in love with her in 1986, and it's like, that should have been the star of the movie. So they go through, and the tragedy of Goose hitting his head on the canopy, he dies. And Maverick now is suffering from understandable and severe PTSD.
Sure.
Then it's Kelly McGillis who shows up and is like, you didn't do anything wrong, like, get over it. And he's like, I can't. So then they're like, get him up in the air immediately. Like, get him like up and running. And every time he goes up, he's dealing with severe psychological issues. And basically the movie tells us, oh, this guy's a wimp. Like, if he were a man, he would be done.
He would nut up and just
stop caring about his friend who died 9 or 10 minutes ago.
His body's still warm.
Bill, this would be like if you had a heart attack and fell over dead, and then Jim stood up and walked over and sat down and said, "All right, I'll finish the episode." And I'm like,
it'd be better if Jim came over and was like, "You have to get over him," you know, and then just they randomly calls to get some guy walking by up front and brings him up and sits him down next to him.
I don't know if I can do this.
Did you see Top Gun?
Bill is rotting right there.
Get me over to the side.
And then he's like, "I quit." And they talk about him quitting in the weirdest way, because it cuts to a random dude just sitting there, and then it cuts to him still shirtless on the phone. "Hey, Maverick just quit. I don't know who he called. I don't know if that's him telling us, like he's calling us that Maverick just quit." And then he's on his way out at an airport, and Kelly McGillis shows up and is like, "I want to help you." And he's like, "If I wanted your help, I'll ask for it." And she's like, "Well, you're just a little bitch, aren't you? Your friend died and you can't get back in the air. I thought you were a man." And then just like storms away. And I'm just sitting there. And my wife and I are like, we were watching, and I was like, I think Iceman is the hero of this movie.
Clearly.
We talks to Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt says, "Your dad was a hero," and that's enough. He's like, "All right, I'm past my PTSD. Thank you much." And then he goes and graduates, and then they go on the aircraft carrier, because immediately there's some incident. Speaking to Iceman being a reasonable person, and this scene is played for like, oh, what a bad guy. They're on the briefing room, and they're like, Maverick will be providing backup, and he's like, "I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but like literally like 3 days ago, he was like couldn't fly, like he was having PTSD. Is there any kind of counseling available? Please let him go get counseling. I'll fly the mission."
Not to mention, like, they're putting him in a position that he's done terribly at, which is backing somebody up.
Right. And it's like,
or like maybe put him somewhere else where he's like, but so far he's left every.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I know Tom Skerritt likes this guy, but my life is on the line as well. And as an adult watching this, all I could think of is like, why isn't anybody listening to Iceman? The only person with any sense in the U.S. military.
What's the guy say to him? He's like, just get out of here. He's like, just kind of.
So they fly out, and the mission goes bad, and Maverick shows up, and Maverick goes through a washout again, like through the jet wash. Right. But he's able to get himself under control. Now he's not involved in the battle. He's like flying off by himself, and he's like, "Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me." He's on the radio, saying to his dead flying partner to please talk to him, and everybody's like, "Oh no, come on, Maverick, come back." And then I guess Goose talks to him. It ends with them pointing at each other, and I do this every time we have something good happen to us. I go, "You."
Gotta really like, but
"You can be my wingman anytime." I said, "No, you can be my wingman." And then we fade out, and we are all left wondering why the psychological services afforded our veterans are so skim, because Maverick needed help. And,
I guess when at the end too, when Tom Cruise throws Goose's tags out into the ocean, is that a Navy thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or instead of giving it to his wife, or was that him just coming to terms with it? All right.
I think the opening should open with the dog tags like rolling up on a beach somewhere. Like maybe it's a seagull picks up the dog tags. All right, so Bill, does this hold up? Is this worthy of being have a place in your Nerdstalgia brain?
You know what? I hadn't seen it in a long time. And the trailer for the new one got me kind of like, I'm a little pumped for it. I don't know if I ever need to see that again.
Yeah, so I agree with you. It does not hold up. My wife and I both thought the same thing, which is we got to stop watching movies from 1986 because all it does is mess with our memories on it. But I will say, I do miss that kind of Jerry Bruckheimer, Don Simpson kind of movie where it's like, listen, it's almost like Michael Bay took that. Like Michael Bay is the crack cocaine of this, but this is just like the pure Bolivian marching powder. Like this is just like the nice little stack of.
But I also think too, if they had the CGI and this stuff like back then, they would be the Michael Bay of that time. Well, they just didn't have.
Maybe they didn't have it, but like that Tony Scott, like everything's gonna look great. The music is gonna look great. It's gonna be nothing but
the
movie
dialogue
stars.
Is gonna be.
Just enough to get you where you need to go. And like at the end, some nondescript people will die. You won't care who they are, but they'll be dead and you'll go, America, yay. And then it'll be like this beautiful scene on an aircraft carrier. I kind of miss that.
Do you miss the idea of it or do you miss the...
I guess I miss the innocence of not questioning what's happening. Top Gun does not hold up. But that style of movie making for me does. Or maybe I do have nostalgia for that.
I can see how that does hold up for some people, though. I can definitely understand it. I just don't know if I personally will revisit again.
All right. But I will be seeing Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Because I'll see Tom Cruise. I love watching 70-year-old Tom Cruise pretend he's 32. And
it's really unbelievable.
It's amazing. But you know what? You've switched me. I'm now a Scientologist. I'm going to do it. Guys, my name is Jay Black. This here is Bill Ridgway, and this is Nerdstalgia. Well, I know what you want to do. You want to go to YouTube and click on the button that says greased up volleyball scene. But before you do that, I need you to do something for us. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to leave a comment. I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit the bell thing. And then I need you to follow me into the ladies' room and stare aggressively at me while I try to figure out an easy exit that saves both of our lives. Because that, Bill, is what love is.